So we're going to try another wing gambit today, which basically trashes black Sicilian studies. And we're going to look at a case where it's an easy trap, where we get c4 in. c4 is an important move in the wing gambit. It's often overlooked by players who go up against it or play it. And in this case, c4 is allowed to sit rather than get taken en passant, and it turns into a piece loss or a mate threat. So we're going to look at that real quick. Turn on our engine. So d4 is the non-standard move, and d5 usually ends up with c4 being played at some point. So when the queen takes like that, it becomes a target for the c4 move, which happens right here. And now if he takes en passant, of course, the computer is recommending just move queen to d8. En passant gives us a tempo gain with a knight, and gets us past, well, it's not a truly past d-pawn, but it allows us to do a lot of stuff that allows harassment of a black knight on c6, for instance. Now the move order here is very important, so it says e6, and the reason for that is because d5 is such a threat. Perfectly even game here. We're not afraid to be in even games, as long as we're in uncharted territory for our opponents. He's playing all good standard first engine moves. We're just continuously developing. And he does have pressure on our a-pawn, which ties us up a little bit on the queen side, and he has the lateral ability to move his queen. So he could come swinging over to h5 at any moment. So we have to examine this pawn structure, and doesn't it look a little bit like that e7 bishop could be loose, especially if the e-file gets opened up? Well, we'll see. Rook on a to d8. Okay, so he doesn't do that. He comes back to the 7th rank, starts worrying about knight to c3, things like that. Okay, d5. So this is the beginning of the end. If you'll notice, right before this, the evaluation was only like half a point up. Now, as soon as d5 gets entered, the computer's decided that white has a distinct advantage. d5 is a wonderful move. This is the kind of move Paul Keres lived for. He played d5 whenever he possibly could, even when it looked like it was impossible. So he was a big player of the wing gambit. Now it's suggesting knight to d8 rather than a5. At any rate, taking the pawn is a major error here, simply because the bishop's going to be lost. And that's what happened in this game. Now it says rook on f to e8, allowing the capture. And now do we take it right away? Yes. So what happens if knight takes d5? Let's just look at this for a second. If knight takes d5, these bishops are looking really down the king's throat. So knight takes d5 does save the piece temporarily, but doesn't it look like just queen to e4 is a killer shot? Because it attacks the knight and attacks h7, and if the knight moves back, it gets captured by the bishop on b2. So just out of curiosity, let's see what happens. We're going to add that as a variation. And surely enough, the move is queen to e4. And now what's the best defense? g6, followed by the capture of the knight. So there's no way to save the piece in that particular scenario, and I'm not going to play the rest of this game because it's kind of a nit. We are just here to show you the power of d5 and the power of those bishops in this type of opening.